is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you are tuned in to Beltway Radio and Beyond, which can mean one and only thing. That this is Chip Chat. Welcome to Chip Chat, everybody. I'm Chip. Who are you, Charlie?
I'm Charlie.
You're Charlie. Charlie's here. Tez is on assignment, and Charlie's cat is here.
Princess Carolyn, she says hi.
Hi. Does she talk?
Not yet. I've been training her for 4.5 years.
How's that working out for you?
As well as any cat trainer will tell you,
I'm
it's
sure.
going.
Yeah.
I had this picture on my phone, and it has a bunch of cats in like in this box that's broken into like starting gates, like at a horse track, and they're all just sitting looking up at the camera, and it says, "This is why cat racing is so fucking boring."
Yeah, that's right. So Charlie is here, not just to co-host, but he's also going to be here to talk about the Emmys, which just happened last weekend. It's the last Emmys that'll ever happen, apparently, because then there's not going to be television or movies or anything anymore.
Or a country.
Yeah, well, who needs that? Chip Chat's still on the air. Soon to have a new co-host named Jimmy Kimmel, I guess.
We'll just have a rotating people that are getting fired. Colbert will come in one week. Kimmel will come in another week. Seth Meyers
will come in the next week. And
then we'll just do the rest of the Daily Show hosts.
That's right. Yeah. As you get canned by the Trump Gestapo, you can just come on Chip Chat and be on our show. So, we're going to talk about all of that stuff. Also, quick shout out, Aisha Roscoe, NPR Weekend Edition Sunday host, retweeted our video where we were talking about how much we love the way she does the puzzler intro. And so that was cool. That felt really great. And maybe she'll come on the show. And
why not ask?
Make her say, and puzzle master of, yes, just the way she says it. I accept nothing less for the rest of forever. She can never move on to anything else. I'm going to need that clip for forever. All right. The murder of Charlie Kirk, which is unfortunate that our Charlie shares the first name with that guy.
Tell me about it.
Is fast becoming the Franz Ferdinand of our time. It's not good. Not the band. The Archduke that got murdered.
The actual Archduke that was assassinated and whose assassination triggered World War I.
Yes, that's exactly right. Thank you for
the band, which slaps.
Yeah, the band is great, but maybe they'll come on the show. Okay, we need to be very super careful about like what we say, how we say. When we're talking about that, we're not gonna make jokes. We're gonna stick to the facts as far as we know them. Sort of like how Kash Patel sticks to the facts as much as he has no idea what anything is.
Yeah, Epstein didn't traffic any of those girls to anybody else.
Sure, or also that he's
even John Kennedy is like, you are fucking kidding me.
He goes,
I'm sorry, you are fucking kidding me.
Yeah, right. You got to do it in the voice. He got asked about the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting with the attempted assassination of Trump. And the congressman was like, hey, are you going to tell us anything about the shooter there? And he goes, yeah, after the trial. And the congressman just moved right on. Like,
Secret Service took him out.
Yeah. I mean, he had the fastest trial in the history of the United States.
Yep.
Yeah. 150 cal to the face. So anyway, so we're going to be careful. We do have jokes since we're the only comedy show left on the air. And that's only because, we wrote a bunch of dad jokes for Tez, and then he's not here. So we're going to do them anyway. And we're going to talk about economics, which is our favorite thing to talk about on this show, because we're fun. And that's fun.
Because nothing gets me hotter than talking like Paul Krugman.
I was going to say, how many economics professors do you know off the top of your head?
Krugman. I can't even remember my economics professor from Northern Virginia Community College.
Oh, wow.
I can't even remember that, so it's like good luck on that.
Yeah, well, we can name economists like many people can name football players, but in our case, part of that is because my dad is one. But also is because when Tez is here, we both wish secretly to be on Marketplace. That's our goal, is to grow up to become Kai Risdall and host Marketplace. And it hasn't happened yet, but it could. It could. You never know.
You just want to be on CNBC so badly.
We do. You have no idea how exciting it is to cover bond yield curves. That's some wild shit, man.
Still, anything's better than Jim Cramer.
Yeah, we don't have all the sound effects, just the one bell. But you know how like you study award shows and like know the ins and outs of like why people vote for what, or like not just the content that they're voting on, but like all of those intricacies. That's the way we watch the Fed. It's crazy. Speaking of which, Lisa Cook's case is going to the Supreme Court. I wonder what it is about her that Trump keeps wanting to get rid of.
I don't know.
Just can't quite put my... Never mind. Anyway, so yeah. Plus, I might talk some soccer and some football because it's that time of year. We can't not talk about it. Tez isn't here for me to harangue him about football, or I'm sorry, soccer. He's the British one, right? Yeah. But Charlie's here, so we can talk about football, and we'll see how that's all going. Speaking of which,
I like soccer. I don't follow it, but I like it.
Well, yeah, it's fun to watch even if you don't know. But you're a football nerd, so you know we'll probably get into a little bit of that. So we'll see. And of course, the Dolphins are getting pummeled by the Bills at the moment. So depending on who picked what in that game, we'll see how that goes. Yeah. And it's going to be fun. I promise. This is going to be a wild show. Not like January 6th kind of wild, but it's going to be wild. We promise.
There will be a lot. Maybe the same amount of broken windows. We'll see.
There you go. And Brian Kilmeade will apologize for all of it.
He took German in high school, you know.
Oh, I'm shocked.
That was one of the great John Oliver clip packages they put together of how often he said, "I took German in high school."
We're shocked. Jesus Christ, could it be more? I would say on the nose, but since his eyes are so close together, those are kind of on his nose too.
He can't get the taste of the knob out of his mouth.
Oh.
And I mean a literal doorknob. He doesn't know how to open a door.
We know, yeah. Okay, so do you have a word?
Sure.
Okay. I've got a word. We'll see if this works. So sit back, grab some
Macarena.
It's Florida time. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond, and also on Rip Radio Network.
Woo!
Street balls.
Welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me tonight is Charlie.
Hello.
Hello, Charlie. So, yeah, I did mention we're live on 2 radio stations at this very moment, so that's pretty exciting.
Moving on up.
Yeah, we're on the same network twice, basically. But that's cool, and we're happy to be back on Rip Radio. So we're on both, and hello to everybody in Central Florida who might be watching from Rip Radio Network or listening from Rip Radio Network, and we're very happy to be there. Okay, so now it's time to do some headlines. This is where we tell you the headlines that our crack news team has gathered, and we can take turns. I guess I'll do the setup, and then Charlie's got the second part of this headline, and then we can just switch off from there. weekend update style. All right. In the wake of the Charlie Kirk shooting, pause for fear. Okay. President Obama made a video statement calling for unity and condemning political violence. Current President Trump told reporters that Obama was
a stupid and worthless president, but I'm fixing it. Only I can fix it. Have you seen DC? There's going to be a new ballroom. Nobody knows balls better than I. I love balls and I love the rooms.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Trump arrived in the UK where he walked in front of King Charles and farted loudly on camera, all in an effort to honor the late Queen, who also got the same treatment.
Another unfortunate person with the same first name as me.
Yes. Right. Oh, that's rough. All right. Go ahead. Take the next one.
All right. Trump talked to reporters before departing for England and called on the British to be nice to him or he would deport Oasis.
Yes. During Chopper Talk, Trump claimed that 300 million Americans had died last year from drug overdoses, which would explain why it feels like we're all dead and living in hell right now.
And makes me wonder why can't I get any?
Yeah, also, there's only 340 million Americans. So, you know.
I think he's counting a couple illegals in there.
A few, yeah.
Probably. Trump declared Antifa to be a terrorist organization. The leader of Antifa, the Tooth Fairy, responded that she would be sending a unicorn to deliver a strong rebuke.
Yes. The sheer stupidity of that whole thing is almost impossible to interrogate, so we'll just leave that off to the side for now. Speaking of anti-fascists, the estate of Dwight Eisenhower was very surprised to be called a terrorist.
As we've mentioned earlier, the Emmys were held this week, and in what can only be described as a strong rebuke of a certain sitting president, Stephen Colbert won the category of Best Variety Talk Show. He celebrated by reminding everybody that Trump has no Emmys and that they could have prevented all of this. That's
right. Yep. Authorities have confirmed a pilot found dead after flying a plane that crashed carrying 200 kilograms of SpaceX branded cocaine is Australian. That's not the whole joke. That's just the setup. Police in Brazil, it was in Brazil, discovered the wreckage of the light plane in a sugarcane field on the coast of the Alagoas region and confirmed the body of the dead pilot found nearby is that of 46-year-old Timothy J. Clark. The Australian ambassador told Brazilian cops, quote, "Of course he crashed. He was flying the plane Aussie style, what you call upside down."
And of course, he spun counterclockwise.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
South Korean officials are finally commenting on the arrest and deportation of hundreds of Korean nationals who were removed from Georgia. They said, thank God, we have been trying to get them out of that hellhole for months.
That's right. J.D. Vance took a spin hosting Charlie Kirk's podcast in his absence, and the easy chair will never recover.
And had many people saying, I prefer the dead guy. I mean,
Wait,
he had the talent to do the podcasting. JD does not.
Which one is the dead guy?
I'm not touching that one.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going there.
Vance just sounds like a throw pillow that's lost. Never mind. Okay.
It does sound like a chain of funeral homes, doesn't it?
He does. Yeah, JD Vance. Yeah.
And he looks like someone that would work in there. Soap maker Unilever hit a snag as Jerry of Ben & Jerry's resigned over what he called attempts to silence him. Unilever, for their part, said he wasn't being silenced, just choking a little on some Cherry Garcia.
That's right.
Or fish food.
Yeah, right. Well, that was apparently what they found. ABC is preempting Jimmy Kimmel for the foreseeable future, or at least until their local stations get their mergers through FCC approval.
That's not a joke. That's just a statement of fact.
That's true.
Throwing Kimmel off the air has opened up space for more people to watch other funny comedy shows. Apparently, the right wing takes jokes about as well as they take bullets.
Yes.
You left that one for me, you bastard.
I didn't mean to.
You bastard.
Hey, you could have read ahead.
It's true.
And in sports news, John Daly hit a 19 on the 12th hole at the Sanford Open. And just like Matt Gaetz, that 19 set an all-time high.
Buzzing!
And those are the headlines. What do you think of those headlines, Charlie?
Oh, hilarious. Hilarious.
Yeah. Are we going to win an Emmy?
It's in the mail.
Yeah, right. Good job. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be back with the rundown and the next bit of the show. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond. Sweeps.
We're in the middle of a hostile government takeover. I want to talk about it, but I'll be late for work. And if you're saying, wait a minute, do we have to stop this? We had one, but you didn't want that lady in office. Hostile government takeover. Hostile government. Now that we're a part of a Nigerian prince scam, surprise, surprise, it end up being a white man. Oh, I just want to know what the hell do I do? And if you say, wait a minute, do we have to stop this? We had one, but you didn't want that lady in office. Hostile government take over. Hostile government made forward. Hostile government take over. Hostile government made forward. Hostile government take over. This ain't about left and right. You better stop messing around. This ain't about left and right. Need to worry about up and down. This ain't about left and right. You better stop messing around. This ain't about left and right. Need to worry about up and down. And if you say, wait a minute, do we have to stop this? We had one, but you didn't want that lady in office. Hostile government take over. Hostile government take over. Hostile government made forward. Hostile government take over. Hostile government made forward.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I am your host, Chip. With me is Charlie. That was the theme song to our lives now. And, it's just kind of on in my head all the time. Also, like, for some reason, the Night at the Roxbury guys, I feel like that should be the thing for that song. Like, we should redo that movie, but put that as the song.
I don't think Chris Kattan's doing anything, so I think we could definitely pull that off.
Yeah, he called me last week. I was like, no, leave me alone.
And a good friend of mine was actually just in a filmed a thing with Will Ferrell for an upcoming Netflix show.
Well, there you go. Yeah, he called me and he was like, hey, can we do something? And I was like, no, such is Mango.
But then he got back to what he really was calling you about, which was asking about your car's extended warranty.
That's right. And I also told him no.
No.
So now we've come to the part of the show that's called The Rundown. This is where I tell you about some stuff that's going on in the news. If we were professionals, it would sound a little something like this.
From Beltway Radio and beyond in Washington, D.C., I'm Emmy-nominated TV newsman and just bona fide sexual beast, J. Scott Smith. And this is the part of the show where I tell some stuff about maybe not me, but somebody else is going to tell some stuff about what's happening in the news. So what's going on in the news, fellas?
Thanks, Jake. All right, so we got to talk about several big things. Let's start with the Jimmy Kimmel thing, which, and let's just preface this by saying, like, this isn't specifically really about Jimmy Kimmel himself. And that's all a little bit baffling that he's the one that this has to be about. But that's where we're going to start with for the like frame of reference. So Jimmy Kimmel is the co-host of Win Ben Stein's Money. His job is to read the questions to Ben Stein and then make girls jump on trampolines. Do I have that right?
Yep, that's pretty much it.
Okay. So in the commission of the girls jumping on trampolines, sometimes he tells jokes. And what he did was he went on his current show, which is on ABC or was on ABC, which he's been hosting now for 22 years in a row. Is that right?
Yeah, it's been over 20 years.
And I remember when the Kimmel Show was like the new upstart late night show, right?
Yeah, because ABC didn't have a dog in the late night fight. So that was a big thing for them to actually say, we're going to actually, they only had Nightline,
Right.
which was their late night news magazine. And so that was a big thing for them when they actually, decided they were going to get in the game with Kimmel.
And the show went through a lot of progression, but it certainly morphed into a really great show. And, Jimmy has done a really good job of bringing along a lot of people with him on this show, including his co-host, Guillermo, who was actually the parking lot guy at the studio. And Jimmy just liked him and thought he was funny, and he just put him on, and he's been there ever since. But like his cousins that are on the show, being his cousin, those are his actual cousins, and he's just having a good time with all of this, the stuff about him and Matt Damon and all of these things kind of built up over time and became very successful inside the show gags and jokes and things like that. And it's a really good show. Like
I've been to I've actually seen the show live, and it's a great experience. It was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, and I can say as somebody who watches a fair amount of this late night stuff that like mechanically speaking, the Jimmy Kimmel Show works really, really well across a lot of audiences. Of course, there's very memorable bits like the stealing the candy, the Halloween candy, or the asking people on the street very obvious questions that they don't know the answers to, or the current game that I really love to watch that they do, which of these people is high? And it's always a very good time. So like, who's got a problem with Jimmy Kimmel? Well, one guy's got a problem with Jimmy Kimmel, and it's the guy who Jimmy Kimmel has the most nicknames for, and that's the current president, the Orange Globulus himself. Jesus, I can't even talk. And what happened was Jimmy Kimmel went on TV, and he said something that is, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of many people, stupid, but not particularly like mean.
Do you want to see it? Because I saw it recently and it's not that bad.
No, I've watched the clip over and over.
Well, I want to say for the audience, let's put it that way. The audience, you want to see it?
Yes, the audience should get to hear the thing that he said.
All right.
That isn't really particularly controversial, but let's hear it. If you've got it, Brian.
Stand by. I love this drama we create for the show.
Oh, yes. People tune in for drama.
Yes. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years.
All right. So the question I have is like, which of the things is the problem? Now, there's two things kind of that comes to mind. One is the assertion that Jimmy made that isn't true is, trying to tie the shooter to the MAGA people. That's not true. And I don't think anybody actually thought that was true. I think that was part of the joke. But I will say, being that I hang out in like blue sky world or, left-wing social media, there was a pretty persistent meme going around, or set of memes, that the shooter in Utah was a MAGA guy, and that this was part of their like accelerationist ideas, or that Nick Fuentes had put him up to it because Charlie Kirk was not sufficiently racist, or some.
Well, they were doing everything they could to pin it on the other side.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody thought that was real. I think that was all like the Russian bots were the ones flinging those memes around, but whatever. So he said that might be the thing, or is the thing of playing the clip where Trump doesn't seem to care very much about the death of his so-called friend Charlie Kirk and skips right on to talking about his ballroom. I don't know, like, which of those, I don't know, Charlie, you're the TV expert. Which of these two things is the thing that was the major offense?
Neither, but they were just looking for something. The other side was just looking for something. I mean, these are the one of the guys from Barstool Sports. You saw that clip. He said these people are the biggest bunch of pussies he's ever seen.
And then Rudy got in a Twitter fight with him, of all people.
Like, did he take time out of helping domestic violence victims to?
Yeah, Rudy took time out of drinking his life away to pick a Twitter fight with Barstool Nate. Okay, guy. Right. Remember when you were like the mayor of New York? And you're losing Twitter fights to sports idiots?
I mean, at least I guess he's okay enough to be getting in Twitter fights again.
Good for him. You know,
I mean, like, it's.
In another 4 seasons, he'll be even better.
I mean, it's like, he didn't say anything objectionable. He didn't call anybody names. He made fun of Donald Trump for something that was legitimately baffling. And like, I actually was like, I wonder what Kimmel said. I actually was thinking to myself, I wonder what Kimmel said when the night at on his first show after Kirk was assassinated. And I actually pulled it up and I found what he said. And to me, it's the same. There's, again, nothing objectionable. He said, like the rest of the country, we're trying to wrap our heads around the senseless murder of the popular podcaster and conservative activist Charlie Kirk yesterday, whose death was amplified by our anger and has amplified our anger and our differences. I've seen a lot of extraordinarily vile responses to this from both sides of the political spectrum. Some people are cheering this, which is something I won't ever understand.
Yeah, that seemed pretty like human. I don't know what else.
Yeah, the only thing he was doing was making fun of the president for when asked about the brutal death of his friend, of someone who he called his friend. He goes off and starts talking about, and I mean, and this is what Trump always does. Remember, he's talking on 9/11. He's talking about how his building is now the tallest one in downtown Manhattan.
Right. He can't ever express a human emotion.
Remember when I can't remember which shooting it was. I think it was Uvalde was the Texas one.
Yeah, that's true, but also that says a lot.
Was it the school one or the El Paso Walmart where he went down and was visiting with the emergency room workers who were working the shift when all the victims were coming in, and he was talking about his ratings and how people like him. It was bizarre.
I don't know which shooting that was. Let's just pause by saying that the sentence that you just started that with, I don't know which shooting it was, but
that's the problem.
Is an exceptionally American sentence. But yeah, I mean, look, you got 2 points here, both of which are absolutely correct. One is that Kimmel is pointing out this problem that Trump has with expressing concern for anybody other than himself in any circumstance ever. He just can't ever put somebody else's needs above his own, and that's weird, but not like I have children. I know that they do that. But then they turn 4 and they stop doing it. Like it's just very, very strange. And then the other thing this wasn't really about anything that Kimmel said. He could have come out there and talked about how puppies are cute, and they would have just lost their shit over this too. The fact on the ground is this: the FCC is weaponized. The commissioner of the FCC is a guy named Brendan Carr. He has been very openly hostile to things he doesn't like. He's been clear that he wants to use his authority to punish people that he doesn't like, punish.
He's one of the architects behind Project 2025.
He is, and he wants to use the FCC to punish broadcasters that differ from his and Trump's position on anything. And he also seems to be exceptionally ignorant on what the FCC has jurisdiction over and what they don't, and or how any of this stuff is arranged. And that gets to this important thing to understand. People don't know this, but the FCC, their job is to manage the public airwaves. Basically, the idea goes, and this is just in terms of broadcast, it's not about telecom or any of that. That's a whole nother thing. The basic idea goes,
it doesn't affect cable either.
Right. That's where I'm getting with this. The FCC's job is to manage the public airwaves. The airwaves where the radio and TV broadcasts that go over the air, that are broadcast over the air, that you pick up with an antenna, basically that's everybody's. And if you don't have somebody regulating it, then basically it's just an arms race who's got the biggest transmitter to take over a particular frequency and broadcast whatever they want. So the United States and many other countries have somebody who regulates that. And the FCC has jurisdiction over only that. It doesn't have jurisdiction over cable. It doesn't have jurisdiction over internet content or anything else like that. It's only over the public airwaves. And their jurisdiction over it in terms of what can be presented is pretty broad. It's not really super well defined, but it says that they have to protect the public interest. And that can be interpreted to mean a lot of things. And over the years, it's been interpreted to mean that you have to have a certain amount of educational programming to have a FCC broadcast license, which is why you see those like bizarre info shows that happen at weird times on Sundays when nobody's watching so that they can meet their quotas, or why stations will occasionally carry news in the middle of programs that it doesn't make any sense that they should have news. It also requires them to do things like have the emergency broadcast tone play every so often and perform those tests and other things. But what the FCC doesn't have any jurisdiction over is the large networks, because they don't broadcast anything. The stations, the local stations, they have FCC licenses. And if you have a ham radio license, you have an FCC license. You get a card from the FCC that says you'll behave yourself on the airwaves. The stations themselves are regulated by the FCC. ABC is not regulated by the FCC. NBC, CBS, none of them are regulated by the FCC. The stations that carry their content are. And over the years, there have been a lot of mergers and acquisitions amongst those stations and changes in rules that have allowed companies to own more and more individual stations. And now we've got down to the point that cost Kimmel his job, which is that some of those station owners want to merge with other station owners and own even more stations, which would require the FCC's approval and also require them to change some of the rules. And since the Trump people control the FCC, if you are carrying a program that makes fun of Trump for having tiny hands or being an incoherent, inhumane monster, they're probably not going to allow that merger to go through. And so this is just a way that they're using what is supposed to be an apolitical, basically keep the airwaves running sort of technocratic agency, independent agency, I would add, that's not supposed to be in control by the executive branch. They're using that as a way to suppress media viewpoints that they don't like. And that's the thing that's alarming. It's not about Jimmy. It's about what can happen when a weatherman says that a hurricane is going to hit this part of the Gulf Coast, and Trump drew with a Sharpie that he wanted it to hit a different part of the Gulf Coast. Could that station have their license yanked? What are we talking about when we talk about this level of media suppression?
And pettiness.
Well, sure, it's all petty, but there are countries where this is the case, right? You see this in whether it's Hungary, whether it's Turkey, whether it's Venezuela or North Korea. You have state television and state radio and state newspaper, and and in some cases more extreme than others, but basically opposing viewpoints aren't heard from. And conservatives believe that that's been their lot to carry for the longest time. They believe that they haven't had their viewpoints aired over the public airwaves for a long time, that there's been some sort of media bias against them. By all objective measures, that's just not true. But they believe it. They believe that they've been aggrieved, and they are now willing to go so far as to violate the First Amendment, like left and right. So
to say and they're not even hiding it, saying we can either do this the easy way or the hard way.
that is what Brendan Carr said, yes. And, you know, it's great when your government starts speaking like a mob boss. It gives you a lot of confidence. I don't know exactly where this ends. You know, well, I do know where it ends, and it's me on a train someplace. But I know that I know where it could go for at least a period of time, which is that the mainstream media, as careful as it already is, and like Tez likes to point out, these things get lawyered to absolute death before they're broadcast or printed, becomes even more careful and just capitulates and doesn't tell people anything. In which case, shows like this become even more critically important, because we might be the only source of legitimate information. And I don't want anybody to mistake this for the news. We are not the news. But we might be the only opposing viewpoint, and only because we're small enough that people don't give a shit what we say. But eventually we might get, you know, if that happens and we become the source, then we got the target on our back. And much as I love the publicity, I don't know that everybody else involved in the show, whether it's Charlie as the tangential fifth Beatle, or Brian as the producer, or Tez for that matter, wants that kind of smoke. But I mean, I want it, but that's, you know.
Yeah, I don't know if GoFundMe has enough to cover those legal bills.
Yeah, well, who knows if there's going to be legal bills. So, but speaking, let's go a little further down before we start talking about the Fed stuff. Where this goes with the free speech aspect of all of this. We had a situation right after Kirk was shot where a Texas Tech student was arrested for talking. I'm not even totally sure what this person was doing, or even who they are. Cameron Giselle Booker. And, oh, Brian's got a video of her. Cool. Okay, so the young lady is celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, which is protected speech, maybe a little uncouth.
In bad taste, but that's a matter of taste.
Sure. And I think it's fair to say from looking at this video, she's a young black woman. She probably could make a fair argument that a lot of what Charlie Kirk said, which was also protected speech, was directly about removing her existence from the planet, let's say. So, you know, I don't know how, I mean, so she was arrested, and then Greg Abbott took a stand on this one and said, like, aha, you've been arrested. And then, you know, she was let out the next day on $200 bond. And there's no, I think she was charged with simple assault. I don't know where the assault took place here.
Yeah, well, I seen when I saw the video. So initially, you know, as she was like doing her walk around and pretty much trying to let the people know what was really going on with her, you know, with Charlie Kirk and stuff like that. She initially did a slight graze on the guy who was holding the sign. So, and the guy ends up saying, "Oh, see, you hit me. What you hit me for?" So, and she was kind of saying, "I didn't really hit you. What are you talking about?" So,
we should give her a sandwich to throw next time.
Yeah.
The true sign of resistance.
Yes.
That's right.
So I kind of agree where, I mean, she wasn't really dancing or celebrating his death. It was more the sense of trying to disengage the guy who was trying to support Kirk, and more the fact is like, look, explaining the fact of what this guy was all about. And I kind of got the sense where she was trying to be about. But if her being suspended or expelled from Texas Tech, I believe due to the fact of the the alleged violence, then I can understand why Texas Tech expelled her. But for something like this, again, I understand he has his First Amendment rights, but she has also hers. But once you put hands on somebody, even if it was just a graze, I think that's where it goes overboard. But
So,
that's how
during the time that the right wing was decrying cancel culture, we often would make the point that, look, people have a First Amendment right to say whatever they want. Companies, employers also have a First Amendment right about who they want representing them or how they want to be represented, so long as it's not discriminatory in the way that they do it. So, like, if I'm out here saying Pepsi tastes nasty and Pepsi doesn't want to sponsor this show, like, that's their choice. That's my choice. That's okay. If the school doesn't want her enrolled as a student, as long as, and I think it's a problem because it's a public institution. So there we do get into a First Amendment issue. But if it's a private institution, if it's your employer, if you work for, Ted's ice cream shop and Ted doesn't like that thing happening, it's, he's got a First Amendment right not to let you work there just as much as you got a right to say the thing. But who doesn't have a legal right to punish you for speaking? That's the government. And specifically in this case, Pam Bondi, who I do want to remind people did pass the bar in some state, I'm just not sure which, is nominally a lawyer. In the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Bondi, AG, Attorney General Pam Bondi, said that she was going to punish hate speech, quote unquote hate speech. She said there's free speech and then there's hate speech. And she was on the Katie Miller podcast. Oh my God. That sounds horrific.
The idea that he's married.
Yeah. Shocking. So she said this thing, and then she went on to detail how, like, if you say things that we don't like, we're going to target you and arrest you and throw you in jail and whatnot. Even the right wing, like, even Tuckums was pissed off about this. Like,
yeah, because that's what they've been doing to gay and black people for decades.
Right. So, and they didn't want to be lumped in. No, I'm kidding. The big thing is that, like, Tuckums wants to say horrible shit, right? And Eric Erickson wants to be able to say horrible shit. And all of these other guys want to be able to say horrible shit. What they don't want is the government stopping them from being able to say the horrible shit. So if Tucker wants to go on TV and talk about the Great Replacement or whatever, the government can't touch him for that. If his sponsors don't want to mess with him, that's a different problem. But the government can't throw him in jail for doing that. What Bondi suggested is real Soviet kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like thought police kind of stuff.
Totally.
And I don't. She kind of walked it back, right? She was like, "Okay, well, I was really talking about incitement to violence." Well, that's not what you said. And you'd think a lawyer, and especially the attorney general, would be a little more careful in how they present themselves. But of course, this is a Trump AG, not a real serious person. She isn't really a good lawyer. She just has this title. I don't know what to call that. How do you even explain that?
No clue at this point.
Yeah.
I've given up.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned over the years is to stop trying to, like, catch them in their rhetorical nonsense, because, like, they'll say one thing and then they'll say the absolute opposite of it, and you'll be like, "Didn't you just say it?" And they'll be like, "Well, I don't know." They don't mean any of it. It's all lies. The things they do mean is they don't like gay people, they don't like black people, they don't like women. Those things they mean. And everything else is just an excuse to get to say all that stuff. Which gets us to, I guess, our last, like, news story within the rundown, which is that the Fed cut the interest rate by 1/4 point. Here's where we're going to talk about economics, which is, of course, the most interesting of all of the things. the Fed basically had telegraphed this for months. It didn't move the markets at all. Everybody knew that this was coming, and it was not a surprise. It also wasn't a surprise in the way it was delivered. There was no, like, sometimes when there's a rate cut coming, you're paying attention to the phrasing or the style of the delivery of the press conference. There was nothing interesting in this at all. It was all completely expected. But the problem that the Fed is facing, and that Jay Powell alluded to, is the job market is softening. It turns out it's been less robust than we thought over the last 6 to 8 months. And at the same time, there's inflationary pressure, and the rest of the tariff stuff still hasn't really, like, sifted through the economy. So he's got a hard choice to make. Is he going to do the thing that could potentially raise prices, but maybe grow some more jobs? Or is he going to do the thing that keeps the jobs low, but potentially brings the prices down? And he chose on favor of jobs, as he had telegraphed, as everybody understood. And, for all the things that Trump does that he thinks he knows better, going after Jay Powell is up there with, like, thinking he can end the Ukraine war in a day. It's just unbelievable.
Out of NATO.
Yeah, it's just unbelievably stupid. What Powell has figured out how to do with the soft landing to get us out of an inflation problem that was the direct result of Trump's fucked up, botched efforts in the pandemic, to get us back to growth, to get us back to the envy of the world, to get us to stable growth, and to basically totally land the airplane and then get us back up in the air, to ruin all of that, to create a stagflation out of your own fury over the penguins of McDonald Island, is baffling. It's baffling. Until you remember that their whole goal is to crash the economy so they can buy it up for pennies on the dollar and turn us all into slaves. But, that's for another show. So there you go. There's our economics portion, and there's our free speech portion. That's the rundown. There's the cat. Yay! Remember how this is a comedy show? All right. Yeah, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break. We have a special song set up for this break. And what we are going to do when we come back from the break is Charlie is going to tell us about the Emmys, which should hopefully bring a little joy to our lives, because that's what Charlie's here for. So,
and you are about to see the thing that brought me the most joy on Emmy night.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, I can't wait to see this. All right. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
Now, here are the nominees for supporting actor in a comedy series.
Ike Barinholtz, The Studio. Coleman Domingo, The Four Seasons. Harrison Ford, Shrinking. Jeff Hiller, Somebody Somewhere. Eben Moss-Backrack, The Bear. Michael, Shrinking. Bowen Yang, Saturday Night Live.
Okay, and the Emmy goes to Jeff Hiller, Somebody Somewhere.
This is the first Emmy win and nomination for Jeff Hiller.
I feel like I'm gonna cry because for the past 25 years I've been like, world, I want to be an actor, and the world's like, maybe computers. And I just want to say, thank you to HBO for putting a show about sweaty middle-aged people on the same network as the sexy teens of Euphoria. Thank you to the Duplass brothers and Carolyn Strauss and Hannah Boz and Paul Thureen, who wrote a show about connecting and love in this time when compassion is seen as a weakness. And thank you to my sweet husband and my family for never laughing at me. And most of all, thank you, Bridget Everett. You changed my life, and you told so many people to believe in themselves, and they do. Thank you.
The quickest way to clear out stuck poop. Can't go. Yes. Clear out stuck.
Not expecting that last part.
Charlie, I love it when you come on the show.
Especially the shit that happens just by accident.
Oh, the shit that happens. Yes. Oh my God, that was fantastic.
That was a wonderful moment.
Also, the speech was good. So, all right. So, tell us about the Emmys.
So, Emmys were Sunday night. The big winner was The Studio, the Apple TV Plus Seth Rogen comedy about a reluctant head of a Hollywood studio. Took home the most ever won by a comedy series, combined with its wins at the Creative Arts Awards the previous week. 13 Emmys, including comedy series lead actor for Seth Rogen, writing, directing, guest actor for Bryan Cranston. It is his 7th career Emmy, but his first for comedy. That is the first time he's won for comedy.
Really? He never got anything for Malcolm in the Middle?
He was nominated 3 times for Malcolm in the Middle, never won.
Oh, he was so good on that.
The Studio is the big winner. It won almost every comedy award. Hacks, which was last year's comedy series winner, won 2, including lead actress for Jean Smart. That she's basically doing what Julia Louis-Dreyfus did with Veep and winning pretty much every year. And the great Hannah Einbinder, who you may not know is actually the daughter of Lorraine Newman, original SNL cast member.
Yeah, I did know that.
She had one of the best moments also when at the end of her speech, she said, "Go Birds, fuck ICE, and free Palestine."
Yep.
And of course, for me, the most objectionable part of that is "Go Birds."
Of course.
Yeah.
I agree.
And you just saw the supporting actor award went to the great Jeff Hiller for the wonderful show Somebody Somewhere, a little show on HBO. It only had 3 seasons. This was for the final season. And the show has such a beautiful heart to it. It's about Bridget Everett, who is a co-creator and the star of the show. It's about her moving back from New York to her small hometown in Kansas around the time of the death of her sister, and her finding a community there. And it's a very beautiful, wonderful show. And I love Jeff Hiller. I got to talk to him earlier this year. He was really sweet. He even recorded a greeting for my mom. She's the one who introduced me to the show, and I asked if he would do that, and he said, "Oh God, yes, I'll do that." And my favorite thing about that clip also is if you look, first of all, the supporting actor in a comedy category was majority queer. 4 out of the 7 nominees are openly gay men, because you had Coleman Domingo, Michael Urie, and Bowen Yang. And all of them are New York gays. So if you actually look at their reaction, they cut to Michael Urie and Bowen Yang, and they're just like over the moon because he's also based in New York, and he's been a teacher actually at UCB for over a decade. So that's how he's helped.
You might have to explain to people what New York gay as opposed to other flavors of gay.
It's just a regional thing. They know each other. We know each other. And especially because he's with, Upright Citizens Brigade, right. Someone like Bowen Yang, definitely, who also came from Upright Citizens Brigade, I believe, definitely, they run in the same circles.
Sure.
Elsewhere on the drama side, it was all about The Pit, the HBO Max drama series about an emergency room in Pittsburgh, which is a fantastic show. It is even my mom loves the show. My mom's a nurse, and she does not usually do medical dramas, but this one she really enjoyed, and it's a great show. It won drama series. Noah Wyle, who had been nominated several times for ER, won his first career Emmy for lead actor in a drama. By the way, his suit, his tux, was made by a company. It was made by a fashion company that makes scrubs. They made a tux just for
that's
him.
cool. I was gonna say, is this guy like? Did he have a medical background before he got into acting? Because it seems like the only thing he does.
It's like the only thing he does. And he got arrested in the Capitol a couple months ago, advocating against the cuts to Medicaid.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely maybe his parents are doctors or something. Like the guy is
He's Jewish, so I mean that might just
okay.
incorporate him in there.
Sure.
You also had the show taking the supporting actress prize for the great Catherine Lanasa. Severance also was a big winner. It won 6 at the Creative Arts Awards last week and won 2 at the Primetime Emmys for Britt Lauer for lead actress in a drama series. She wonderfully had on her acceptance speech the words "Let me out" on the back, so that was a nice little Easter egg for the audience. And Tramell Tillman became the first Black man to ever win the supporting actor in a drama series category.
Also, he's a DC native.
Yep, and his mother was his date that night, and he had referenced her as his first acting teacher. It was a very, very sweet moment. But then we got some really interesting winners in the writing and directing awards. The directing award went to Slow Horses, which won the writing award last year for its creator, Will Smith, which came out of nowhere. And Andor won the writing award, which I'm going to have to watch now because I've heard it's just 2 seasons and you really don't have to be steeped in Star Wars lore in order to get the show. So I'm going to have to give that show a shot.
So I'm a deep Star Wars person, of course, and I loved Andor season 1. I have not seen season 2 yet because I had to finish up Acolyte, which I just finished. So I'm a little behind, but I'm trying to, kind of get to the series in the order that they're presented so that I'm on pace. I'm very excited to get to Andor 2, and I'm very excited because it really, without giving anything away, it's very critical to the actual canonical saga. So it feels tangential until it doesn't. And I would highly encourage, even if you, like you said, if you're not a Star Wars person, if you are wondering about where there's hey, there's a few gaps in these movies, these series have been working to fill those in, and Andor does an exceptionally good job. And it is beautifully made. I mean, just the visuals of Andor are really stark where it needs to be, and they are gorgeous but it's very real. It feels very real. So yeah, I'm very excited happy to hear that for them.
Yeah, that was a great thing for them. And on the limited series movie side, it was all about Netflix's Adolescence, winning limited series, lead actor for Stephen Graham, supporting actor for Owen Cooper, who became the youngest male acting winner ever. He's 15 years old, and he delivers a knockout performance in that. Erin Doherty won supporting actress, and it also won writing and directing. And it's just 4 episodes, but every episode is essentially done in one take.
Wow.
And it's a pretty intense show. It's dark. It goes into some very, touchy subjects, the idea of masculinity and the manosphere. But it's a very good show, and it really just worked with Emmy voters.
Is that the one about the social worker or something like that?
There was an episode with the social worker.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, because it's all about basically there's this 13-year-old kid who's being arrested, accused of the murder of one of his classmates.
Yeah, I heard a story on NPR about it, and the thing that stuck with me was the bit about the social worker. So.
And that's Erin Doherty, who won supporting actress.
Okay,
She's
the
social worker. And Stephen Graham, lead actor winner, plays his father. And really, even though Stephen Graham won the lead actor award, everyone's really supporting because no one person is in more than 2 episodes of the show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really an ensemble.
Really incredible writing to weave something like that together without a main character, so to speak.
Yeah, no question. And one of my other favorite speeches that night was lead actress in a limited series winner Kristen Milioti for The Penguin, which combined with that win and the wins of the Creative Arts won 9 Emmys this year.
Wow.
So the Penguin was really well liked. When she got up on stage, she pulled out her speech and she said that she had taken these notes on the back of her pad during therapy, so please don't read the back of this paper that close. And she's a great longtime actress, so it was wonderful to see her pick up that win. And I'm trying to think what else won big. Well, one of the winners, interestingly enough, at the Creative Arts 2 weeks ago was Jimmy Kimmel. He won outstanding game show host for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Does he still have that gig?
As far as I know, he does. As far as I know, he still does.
But so he didn't host this year's shows, any of the award shows and stuff. Who hosted this year's Emmys?
This year was Nate Bargatze, who's been very well received with his, I believe his most recent stand-up special was called Your Friend Nate Bargatze.
Yep.
And he's hosted SNL a couple times to some very well received notices, but unfortunately didn't really stick the landing. This one just didn't work. Had an okay opening skit, but then basically every time he came back out, he was doing this bit where he was saying, I'm going to donate $100,000 to the Boys and Girls Club of America. And for every second that a person goes over on their acceptance speech time, we're going to take away $1,000. It kind of it became very repetitive. It just didn't work. I don't think I have seen worse, but it did not work very well.
I had heard some criticism that basically the producers this year, played it really safe, really kind of like straight, walk out, hand the awards, like move it, like there was nothing.
There was some bad banter though, and I've seen some bad award show banter. This year's was pretty bad. They did not. It felt a friend of mine was actually saying it felt like he was watching a bad Emmy broadcast from the 80s.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So, I mean, was it kind of like phoned in basically, or was it just people being so careful they didn't want to say anything?
I think it was phoned in. I don't think it was a matter of safety. I think it was just that the material was just not there. But as I said, it was a mediocre ceremony saved by some great winners.
Who knew it'd be tough to write something fun and unifying and interesting in a time when the Republic is sliding into Andor territory?
Yeah, who would have thought?
I mean, okay. So what else do we have going on about the Emmys before? Because we know that Oscars are coming up, right? So we do want to ask you about that too.
Yeah, I think that's basically it with the Emmys. We're just waiting for. I'm excited for the Pitt season 2, which is going to be coming out in January. And there are a couple other shows I'm really excited about. I wish we could have seen What We Do in the Shadows take home something, because that is one of the most brilliant, one of the funniest shows of the past several years. And I would have loved to have seen that pick up something. But
that's the
overall,
Vampires on Staten Island one.
Yes, that's the one about the vampires on Staten Island. Yeah. It is so funny, and they really stuck their landing with the final season this year. I really enjoyed it.
Being that I am married to, Staten Island, I've seen little bits of that show, and I think it's quite funny myself.
All right, Charlie, I want to ask: was there any shows that you felt was snubbed from being nominated?
One of my favorite shows from this past year was a little show on Prime called Overcompensating, from Benito Skinner, who had found an audience on TikTok with some of his skits on TikTok. And it's basically a semi-autobiographical series about he plays a high school jock who goes to college, and he's wrestling being closeted and trying to find a way to become comfortable with himself. It's a great comedy. It's hilarious. It's raunchy. It's fantastic. I love that show so much, and it just got the series order for a second season. I would have loved to have seen that. Especially, there's one episode where his best friend makes it her mission to try to get him to have his first gay hookup, and she sets him up on Grindr with this guy who ends up being actually in an open relationship with his husband, and the husbands are played by Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers. Nice. And they're only in it for like maybe 3 minutes top, but they are fucking hilarious in it. They are so goddamn funny in it. As basically like, Bowen Yang's going, our marriage is falling apart and you're worried about the carpet.
Bowen Yang is just absolutely hilarious and
priceless, absolutely priceless.
Genius.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that show get in. I almost said Peacemaker, but that's airing right now, so that'll be eligible for next year. So I can say that I'll be disappointed when it doesn't get recognized for next year's Emmys.
All right, so the Oscars are coming up, right, in a few months' time, and are we in voting season now?
We're in festival season right now. So we've had the big festivals that have gone on right now is Telluride out in Colorado and Toronto up in Toronto and Venice. Those festivals have played out. And Middleburg here to the DC area is coming up in just a month. I will be out there covering it for Gold Derby. And I just thought we would take a look and see what we at Gold Derby have as our predicted 10 nominees for Best Picture right now, if I may.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you get extra points for predicting the nominees in advance in addition to predicting the winners?
We get bragging rights if we're able to say that we predicted the correct Best Picture winner at this point in the race. Yeah, we get major bragging rights.
Yeah, I think at that point you go down in history as like the best at this ever.
Yeah, I think some of us have to. I think someone has to buy us a sub too, but I'm not sure. But I'm not positive about that. Okay, I'm going 10-1 on this one. So in number 10 right now, we have a movie called Jay Kelly. Is latest from Noah Baumbach, who made Marriage Story. It's about a famous actor and his agent who reflect on their choices, relationships, and legacies during a trip through Europe. The actor is played by George Clooney, and his agent is played by Adam Sandler.
Wow. That sounds like the sort of movie that is made specifically to try to win an Oscar.
Exactly, yes. Yep. And it has Laura Dern in it too. So,
that's a giveaway. Okay, sure.
And number 9, we have Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, which chronicles Bruce Springsteen's conception of making of his 1982 album, Nebraska. Jeremy Allen White from The Bear and Shameless will be starring as Bruce Springsteen. Jeremy Strong will be playing his longtime manager. Emmy winner Stephen Graham, who just won for Adolescence, will be playing Bruce's father. You also have Paul Walter Hauser and Mark Maron will be in this as well.
Who's going to play little Stevie Van Zandt? Who's going to be?
Oh, I don't know who's playing Little Steven.
That's important, right? He's my favorite part of that whole band.
I mean, it'd be great if they just had Stephen Van Zandt do it.
Yeah,
he is an actor.
Yeah, he is. He's
great on The Sopranos. He was fantastic on that show.
Yeah, and his radio show is like my favorite radio show in the world, except for
I love Stephen Van Zandt. He's the best.
Yeah.
Then in number 8, we have an Iranian film called It Was Just an Accident. A small car accident triggers a major chain of events stemming from a former political prisoner believing he's recognized his former torturer from prison.
Ooh.
This is the latest from legendary persecuted Iranian filmmaker Jafar Panahi, who had been imprisoned in Iran, first in prison and then on house arrest. He wasn't allowed to leave the country for, quote, propaganda against the Islamic regime. But he still made movies even while he was under house arrest, and he wasn't supposed to be. His first movie made under house arrest was literally called This Is Not a Film. That's how he stuck it out on a USB drive with the file saying this is not a film.
And they believed it.
Yeah, and he won but he is able to go out. He is out from under house arrest now. He was at the Cannes Film Festival where he won the Palme d'Or, the big prize. And even though Iran hasn't submitted it as their submission, France has submitted it as their submission for international feature. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. I actually have it as my number 1 right now, just because I think it's a fun narrative for, someone who is imprisoned, winning Oscar gold.
Sure.
Number 7, we have a film called Begonia, which is about 2 conspiracy theorists who kidnap a high-powered CEO believing that she's actually an alien with the intentions of destroying the Earth.
Naturally.
The CEO is played by Emma Stone. One of the conspiracy theorists is played by Jesse Plemons, and it's directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, who did The Favorite and Poor Things, which won Emma Stone her most recent Oscar 2 years ago.
I love Emma Stone. She's so funny.
She's really one of our best working actresses right now. I am completely fine with the fact that she has 2, and I don't mind if she wins a 3rd. She's really that great.
Yeah, she's great.
In 6th place, we have a movie called Marty Supreme, which is about a young man who has a dream that no one seems to respect, but goes to amazing lengths in order to make himself the best. It is starring Timothy Chalamet, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Fran Drescher. It's directed by Josh Safdie, who's one half of the Safdie brothers, who made Adam Sandler's movie Uncut Gems, or Uncut Jams, as it's sometimes called.
It is the Marty Supreme sort of like the Marty Meat Lovers, but with vegetables, right?
That's what I'm thinking. That's my understanding of it.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. In 5th place, we have One Battle After Another. This is the latest from Paul Thomas Anderson, who made Licorice Pizza, Phantom Thread, Boogie Nights, Magnolia, and There Will Be Blood. It's about a group of ex-revolutionaries who reunite to help rescue one of their own daughters after their enemy resurfaces after 16 years. It stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, and Teyana Taylor.
So taken with even more actors.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And Sean Penn plays the evil enemy who resurfaces. And
that totally tracks.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Number 4, we have Wicked for Good, the second part of the origin story of Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West, and Glinda, the Good Witch of the North, starring Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, Jonathan Bailey, Bowen Yang, Jeff Goldblum, and Michelle Yeoh. I know Wicked got a lot of good reviews, but me and most other people who have issues with Wicked has been the second act of the show, and that's what this whole movie is. It's the second act, so we'll see how that goes.
Just side note, as somebody who owns several small children who happen to be little girls, I'm okay with them not making more Wicked. Like that, I could not get this shit to shut up. Now I got K-pop Demon Hunters.
God.
I just like, if I never hear one of those songs again, will be too soon. I don't care how venti Grande is, like that is enough.
If I have to hear Cynthia Erivo belt one more time, I'm gonna choke a bitch.
It's not that I don't think they're talented. It's not that I don't think the movie's cool looking and the visual aspects of it are great or whatever. But like that thing was on 24 hours a day in my house for like 3 months, and I am so tired of that movie.
Yeah, you are done with that shit.
Yes. I'd rather watch Moana for the 19 millionth time, or even a couple times through Frozen, than see that.
Christ.
Dude, you don't even know.
Oh, no, I know. No, I have a very good friend of mine. His daughter was very into Frozen. She's 17 now, but she was when Frozen came out. Oh man, that was all
Frozen 2, and I mean, just like little girls are great. I love being a girl dad. They are just the light of my life. But their choice in movies is terrible, and I don't know what this is about kids, but they watch the same fucking movie over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Why do they do that?
For me, that was Aladdin, The Lion King, and Sister Act.
Yeah, I watched Aladdin a bunch of times, but not in a row. My brother used to like finish Lion King, rewind it, and then watch it again.
Yep.
Without getting off the couch. And it's like, dude, that's enough.
Or you pop it in the automatic rewinder.
We did not have one of those.
Oh, you didn't have one of those?
Yeah, we had to use the VCR to rewind. So that was when you could get
man, how primitive.
Yeah, I know. Well, we were poor.
In number 3, we have a movie called Sentimental Value. It's a Norwegian movie. Following the death of their mother, 2 estranged sisters are forced to confront their father, who's a fading movie star who abandoned them when they were young.
Oh, Lord.
Yes, this is the official Norwegian entry for international feature. It stars Renata Riensva and Stellan Skarsgård, and Elle Fanning is also in this movie.
Okay, could there be like a more like stereotypical, oh, this is what we think Hollywood does to self-congratulate? Oh my God.
Or maybe it's just trying to hold a satirical mirror up to it. I will say, the director of it, Joachim Trier, this is his follow-up movie to a movie he made 4 years ago, which I'm convinced he made just so that if it got awards attention, people would have to say the name of the movie. The name of the movie is called The Worst Person in the World, which I just love. Like, and he got an original screenplay nomination for it. I was just, and the Oscar goes to The Worst Person in the World, and someone goes, did Harvey Weinstein get out of jail?
That's hilarious.
So I've been hearing very good things about this. This won the second prize prize at Cannes, the Grand Prix. At number 2, probably the most popular, what is currently the most popular movie on this list, Sinners. From earlier this year, twin brothers returned to their hometown in 1930s Mississippi to reestablish themselves, only to find an even greater evil that seeks to take over. We have that. It was in first place for a long time. It just got knocked down number 2 recently. This would also be, it would not be the first nomination for Ryan Coogler, although the only nomination Ryan Coogler has is in the original song category for the song from Black Panther. He's one of the songwriters on that.
Hey.
So this would be his first nomination as a director or writer. It would be also the first nomination for Michael B. Jordan if he were to get in for this. And he's someone who has a bit of an IOU from the Oscars.
That's pretty wild because like the two of them, they've done so many great things together. And I mean, Coogler in particular, I think is sort of regarded as like the best at movies currently in Hollywood. Isn't that the way that they
probably him and Christopher Nolan, I think, are probably top 2.
Yeah.
And but it just got knocked off by the number 1 movie, which won the People's Choice Award at the Toronto Film Festival. It's called Hamnet. It examines the relationship between William Shakespeare and his wife Agnes and the impact that the death of their 11-year-old son had on them. It stars Jesse Buckley and Paul Mescal. It's directed by Chloe Zhao, who directed the Best Picture winner Nomadland from a couple years ago. So, and this has been getting some really rave reviews. I'm very excited. It's been announced that this will be playing at Middleburg. It will be, I believe, either the opening night or it's the centerpiece film. So I believe it's screening Saturday night. So I am very excited about seeing that. And that's what we have. We'll see how the rest of the Oscar season shakes up with how everything works.
All right. So you all heard it here first. If it does go as you predicted, what will we all get as a collective audience here?
It was just an accident, the Iranian film. That's what I have in my number 1 slot for right now.
Okay. That's what we're all rooting for. We'll all root for the accident. I'm sorry, the film about the accident.
About it. It was just an accident. Yes.
It's just an accident.
Charlie, is there a dark horse that you are not aware of? Mind you probably are based off of
that he's aware of, but that nobody else is.
No one else is. Is there a dark horse that may surprise people?
At this point, I'm not really sure. Because we're starting to get those reactions in. So like a lot of stuff that we thought may have been like there has been some buzz about the movie The Smashing Machine, the one with Dwayne Johnson. Because he's been getting some buzz in the Best Actor category, but the film has not been getting very particularly positive reviews. And then there's a movie like, what's it called? Christie with Sydney Sweeney, where she plays the female boxer. Mm. That's been getting mixed reviews. So that's kind of fallen by the wayside, except maybe Sydney Sweeney might get in. I'm not sure at the moment. There are some that I'm personally like waiting for. One is the new Catherine Bigelow movie called, I think it's called A House of Dynamite. It's all about the response to a possible nuclear strike on the U.S. This is from the same woman who did The Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30.
Right.
So I love her work, and Point Break. Can't forget Point Break.
Right.
So I can't wait to see that. But that'll be on Netflix. So you never really know. Netflix has been trying to buy a Best Picture Oscar for so long, and they have not been able to do it. Apple beat them to it.
Mm. Another question is, I don't know if you're aware of, I think it's Amy Fowler, and she posted a statement about why comedies are not getting a lot of recognition in Oscars pretty much for a very long time, based off of even what I've seen. It's mostly been the dramatic actings and stuff that get any form of nods. And I still, most notably, I know there's been some actors have won or either been nominated for a role in a comedic role. But as for like someone winning, the only one I can think of is Whoopi for Ghost, and I felt like that was just a hey, we're sorry we didn't give it to you for a color purple, but here, take this one.
Yeah.
but
that's
do you
what that
feel
was.
like
I wouldn't say that was comedy either.
I feel like I do feel like comedy sometimes does not get its proper due, but it does get its due sometimes. Like I think one of the wins that's actually aged magnificently has been Marissa Tomei's supporting actress win for My Cousin Vinny.
Yeah,
that's a win that I think is fantastic. But yeah, they do tend to go towards the dramatic stuff, and the stuff that we would say is Oscar bait. But when you see someone like a Melissa McCarthy get in for Bridesmaids, that is wholly earned. And even last year's winner, Honora, is kind of a comedy drama. I mean, there are some very scenes where you are just laughing out loud because the whole thing is just completely absurd. But there is there is a genre bias. I'm not going to lie that there isn't.
But the comedies win at the box office, so they can't be too upset about that.
Yeah, exactly. But oftentimes you'll see sometimes for someone who's known for comedic work, they'll try to work that when they do a dramatic role that starts getting Oscar buzz, they'll try to say, oh, look, this person who's known for comedy is able to do this.
Adam Sandler, good example.
This might be Adam Sandler's first Oscar nomination if he were to. He's someone who's actually been building a lot of goodwill over the years with a lot of his performances. So I would not be
like The Sandman. I mean, come on.
He should have been an Emmy winner this past weekend for his song from the SNL 50th anniversary.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had told me going into that the most moving part of that would be an Adam Sandler song, I would have said you're fucking crazy.
No, that's not crazy because first of all, he's good at writing these songs, and even when they're funny and ridiculous, they're often heartfelt. And
I was not expecting it to be as moving as it was, and it ended up being the best part of the entire special.
I thought the whole thing was great, and not just the special, but just all the lead up to it and all the extra things about like the music of SNL and all that stuff that Questlove did. It was, the 50th was a really big thing. I'm looking forward to I don't know if I'm looking forward to what is going to be on SNL this year, but what are we going to see with all the shakeup? But that's for another.
Go for the gut. Go for the gut.
Yeah. Well, do they have the courage to do it? I mean, I know that Jost and Che do, but the question is whether Lorne does.
Yeah, that's the real question there.
Yeah, because they've got the impression guy there with
James Austin Johnson.
James Austin, yeah,
who is fantastic. He
absolutely dead on with that, and Che and Jost will say just about anything. So I mean they can do it once. Right, they can get away with it once before the censors will hit them. So, maybe I don't know. I will miss Ego Nwadum. She's been so great the past several years. Well, and Ego's from here or Baltimore, so she's local kid. So we sorry to see her go.
They still got Bowen Yang and Mikey Day, and they still got a solid cast.
Absolutely, I'm not doubting the Marcelo and there's some quality folks there, no question there, and some of the new people coming in are pretty good too. So I'm not worried about it, but I'm really interested to see, especially in the wake of the Kimmel thing, is SNL going to do what we want it to do, Or
I would love it if they did it in a really sharp way. I miss the old political attitudes of SNL when, my personal favorite political moment from SNL ever was when they were satirizing the 1988 presidential debate between Dukakis and Bush just goes on this long rambling answer that means absolutely nothing. And they go, Governor Dukakis, your rebuttal. And John Lovett says, Dukakis goes, I can't believe I'm losing to this guy.
Yeah, right. It's such a great line. Yeah, I will see what they do. But I think it'd be great if they got Kimmel to host. That'd be pretty funny.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Or maybe do a joint hosting of Kimmel and Colbert.
Yeah, right. And so we'll see. All right. So that concludes our culture aspect of the show where Charlie and to some extent Brian make me look cultured by proxy. And So you ready to take a break and then we can get on with the third half of the show?
I'm ready.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back at the third half of the show. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
People of Springfield, please don't eat my cats. Why would you do that? Eat something else. People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog. Here's a catalog of other things to eat.
They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. They're eating the dogs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
They're eating the cats.
Meow, 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 meow.
They're eating the pets of the people that live there. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap. Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Gay. Frogs. Won't you fight for your life? Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. I don't like a frog. Gay. Friggin' frogs. Frogs. Friggin' frog crap. Won't you fight the frogs? It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Frogs. Place point.
Frogs! Welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me tonight is Charlie, and that was, of course, our favorite Alex Jones bit, and before that, the crazy.
I wish I had poppers and glow sticks right now.
Yeah. So as Tez's tradition dictates, that after we play Alex Jones and laugh at him, we have to remind everybody that he's a dangerous monster who said that the kids who were killed at Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut were not real or actors or some other bullshit. And he's bankrupt for that now. But also we would encourage people to go to sandyhookpromise.org, maybe donate a few bucks to soothe your soul for laughing at the gay frogs bit. So there you go. Yeah. They're turning the frogs gay. Speaking of things that are very damaging to our country, Donald Trump. So the Trump administration has ordered the removal of signs and exhibits related to slavery at multiple national parks, according to 4 people familiar with the matter, including a historic photograph of a formerly enslaved man showing the scars on his back. So I'm sure you've been to some of these places. I've certainly been to a lot of these places. That there's historic things that happen there, some of which involve slavery. Like a good example around here is Harper's Ferry, right? A lot of people have been there. You want to go see where John Brown and his band of rebels led their raid on the armory, where they were going to snatch a bunch of weapons. They did snatch a bunch of weapons and then tried to go distribute them to the people on the plantation so that they could fight for their freedom and hopefully escape and all of that kind of stuff. Also around here, of course, there's a lot of the Harriet Tubman things where she lived in Maryland, and then there's stuff like at Mount Vernon and all of this stuff. So like slavery is a bad thing, I think we can all safely say. And it
is free labor.
Yeah, right. In much the way child labor is, it's great.
They had those little hands that can screw those things in. You got to have those little hands.
The Chinese are so good at it.
Bloody good cameras.
Right. So, despite what Kanye and what's his name, the brain surgeon guy who
Carson
looks like he's always asleep. Yeah, Carson. Despite what they said, like slavery was bad. And it's not just immigration or something like that. It's a terrible thing that happened in our country. And it's okay to know about it. It's matter of fact, it's critical that people do know about it. It's critical that people understand the impacts of it. And you're not going to get that from a sign, but it might at least get you to like not go, oh, well, that wonderful plantation just looks so beautiful. I wonder if the people who worked there felt happy about it or something. Like,
how could you not feel happy going to work at a beautiful place like that?
Exactly. Yeah. Like, let's just give things a little bit of context or something like that. But there's a deeper problem with all of this, right? Is that this thing that we've been warning about, that we've been mentioning, that we think that people need to be very, very worried about, is that this is part of the fascist playbook, rewriting history, changing the textbooks, changing what the people learn, attacks on education, and attacks on the shared collective knowledge of the people is part of how you do fascism. And I keep hammering this thing that like, this is not new. It's not novel. It's not creative. It's not even like different. It's exactly the thing that we see everywhere else, that we've seen in Turkey, the thing that we've seen in Argentina, or the thing that we saw in Chile or Cambodia, or, insert totalitarian dictatorship here. This is one of the key things that they do, is go after the cultural institutions. I don't know how else to really take this other than a direct attack on the collective history of this country.
I would like to put a huge.
Brian's got thoughts. As the white guy,
I got
Brian's got thoughts.
When you initially started going after the African American Museum, I knew there was like you said, the writing was on the wall there, because again, you're not just trying to rewrite history, but you're trying to take away history as well. And a lot of, you can say African American or Black history or whatever how you want to call it, has been like nullified. You barely hear it at all. I mean, when I was growing up, I didn't hear anything about certain Black people who've done amazing things in association to those their white counterparts. I mean, it is like unheard of. I figured it's like this. I've been told about Thomas Edison. No, there's this Black dude who helped him, or actually was part of the work. Why didn't you hear about him? Because that's how it's always been. You elevate those who, again, who's ever in power, who's majority rules, and you're trying to say, hey, these are the grand people that we want to shine, not the others. And it's kind of unfortunate, the fact that you're trying to eliminate not only 200 years of this country, but even further along back that I just feels like, dude, you want to trying to re-educate everyone, which I doubt that will happen. but I know full well you're trying to influence those before all this. And by the time they go to school, they're not going to learn about the Edgar Carvers or the Frederick Douglasses or even those in modern day of President Obama or even Kamala Harris and things like that. That is what you're trying to do, and I feels like, dude, you are doing a huge disservice. And I felt like it's kind of unfortunate. It's like, again, like the first song we played, this is a hostile government takeover.
It is very much that. Think about the word that you just used about re-education, and think about other times in history or other places where we've seen that word used, and it's Mao and Stalin, and it's taking people away to get their brains reprogrammed to love dear leader above all. And to your point about erasing history, there's a serious risk that history, the physical texts of the history, the traces of this, the historic locations, landmarks, buildings, artifacts could be destroyed in a way that they can never be recovered.
Right.
And so long as the Internet Wayback Machine works, right, a lot of the stuff that's archived or that ever was printed or displayed on the National Park websites or the Smithsonian websites or anything like that will still exist someplace. But the physical structures,
right?
The house that Frederick Douglass lived in, that's in Bladensburg, that we all drive by all the time, that could get bulldozed. And then what? The pictures of it on the internet will not
do justice. No.
Yeah.
I've been to a plantation in Georgia. It's like I said, it seemed like a whole bunch of cottages and stuff like that. But knowing the history that a lot of Black people were forced to live here, pulled away from, whatever African nation they were pulled from, or even a Caribbean nation they were pulled from, to come here, be forced to work and put it in these places and live here in tight quarters and things of that nature, just to say, just to, again, obey to those lazy white people who do want to pick their own cotton and stuff like that. There's educational aspect of it. It's knowing the fact is like, this happened. And for someone like a person like Donald Trump, who probably failed history 10 times over, doesn't want to relive that, or doesn't want to, let everyone else know that, because in a weird way, he wants to say, hey, America was better than this. No, they weren't.
No.
You've been saying this for years. A lot of people have been denying this for years. And it's like, look, America has and will always be a racist nation until they fully admit it. And even though there will be a lot of leaders of whatever color will say this, like, yeah, we've been like this. But when it comes to someone on top of that, and you get someone, I wouldn't say Donald Trump because he won't say it, but if you get someone like, back then, if you had Bill Clinton say it, or any of the Bushes, or even Reagan, they even said how if America was a racist nation back then, that would have changed everything. But no, they kept status quo, and that's the unfortunate thing here.
Well, and part of that also,
the whole idea of the government coming in and dictating what is written in the museum should be frightening enough on its own.
Yeah.
But the way that they're targeting it, and now they're trying. I've heard he's even thinking about trying to go after some of the exhibits in the Holocaust Museum.
He is. He's been thinking about that, but there isn't the mechanism for it isn't as direct. I mean, they have far more control over the National Park Service. But to the point here about the physical aspect of some of this, and the Holocaust Museum is a good example. I have been with people who want desperately for history not to be what it is, and don't believe or willfully pretend that they don't believe that certain things happened until you put them in proximity to, or where they can touch the physical artifact that is the direct connection to this thing. And so if you've got people who want to say that slavery didn't happen, or wasn't that bad, or that this country isn't racist, putting them next to a slave cabin, putting them on a plantation where they can see how people were tractors, putting them in these places where they can understand they can't escape it, it does change minds. And that is what they're trying to erase here.
Right.
And think about also the why, okay? If the why is because you know that it's bad, but you don't want to confront it. It's not that they don't think it's bad. They know it's bad. They know that slavery was awful. They just don't want to have to share in the collective pain of that. But they don't mind all of the people who are descended thereof sharing in a worse collective pain.
But I get that. I'll give you a perfect story for it. And since Charlie's here, he because based off it's about the movies. My dad, for back when I was like 10 years old, I say this a lot to a lot of people. I was forced to watch Roots. I did not like the show. I didn't care about the show. Even though it's a very historical television program that every black child should see, blah, blah, blah. But as I was watching it, all I can think about in my brain cells was like, this isn't me. Not saying the fact is like not me as in, a colored person, just me as an individual. This is Alex Haley's story. That's him. Now, my history is completely different. I'm not, I can go back to, in addition to, we had slavery here, but also we have Native Americans as well. So I can understand, I can respect and admirate for his story. I just felt like it's like, I just don't need that right now. But mind you, I'm glad I saw it, especially since they did a stupid redo, which didn't make any sense, and it kind of toned down certain things. I felt like, dude, you just wasted your money. Let's go in pretty much 40 years plus years later. We get into 12 Years a Slave. After seeing that movie, I literally said to myself, I am freaking done. I do not need to see another slave movie. I know there's some significance for it, but damn it, I am so highly done with this because I feels like you're exploiting the pain and suffering that a lot of people went through. And for what? To say it's like, oh, we need to put that out there to let people know this happened. Okay. How many slave movies do we need to let people know that this happened? And get to the point where it's like someone that's not my color to literally admit the fact that it's like, hey, this needs to stop. This needs to be acknowledged. And we got to rebuild the consciousness of a lot of people that know the fact it's like what we've done. And again, added the fact of reparations need to be added to a lot of these Black Americans that you put us through for almost over 400 years. Until that happens, again, I bet you somewhere in Hollywood is writing up another slave story. And even though it's saying it's like, oh, we're trying to, again, expose the fact that slavery happened. Are you? Even though we have evidence everywhere.
Yeah, but
and
now
then on top of that, the way I see it with this administration, in the end, I feel like it's not about letting people know what's going on out there or what happened back in 14 whatever or 15 whatever. The way I see it is like exploiting the fact of how white Americans dominated everything. That's where I feel like we may be going through in this silly administration if he fully gets away with whatever he's doing.
Well, that's very clearly what he's trying to do. And
by the way, it's interesting you brought up 12 Years a Slave. I think that's the only movie I've actually been physically nauseous during. And I think you probably know which scene I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I felt myself physically getting sick during that scene.
I think that the concern that the exploitive nature of art based around this stuff, that's fair enough, but the history needs to be accessible. It needs to be, and we're talking about it in a historical context. I'm not talking about a movie. I'm talking about knowing that when you go to Monticello, that the reason that the things happened there, that was a functioning farm, was because of human labor that was forced, and the separation of families and the destruction of the humanity of the people involved, and the removal of their names and culture and their access to education and safety and freedom, and the treating them like property and livestock. That is inescapable.
Right.
And the white Americans, it really does kind of speak about who you are as a person. If what you want to do is continue to, as the Articles of Secession clearly pointed out, maintain white supremacy and live in a place where you get to have, at the expense of people who are not white, if that's what you want to have, then this stuff has got to go, because you can't have anybody pointing out that your gains are ill-gotten. And even if you come and say, oh, well, my family wasn't slave holders, we got here in the last 100 years, we're not that. The concept of whiteness, which is ridiculous and totally artificial, only exists in context of oppression of people who aren't. There is no reason to be white if you're not oppressing people who aren't. This is a creation of white supremacists. It's a creation of the slave mentality, the enslaver mentality. And so the even white folks who are descendant of people who have only been here post-slavery are still benefiting from the country and the wealth and the systems that were set up by the original sin of slavery in the United States. And that needs to be confronted. And that is the kind of things that 1619 Project was working on confronting, that schools are still trying to teach in a way that is whole and complete, and will let people have the tools and the understanding to be able to really interact with the rest of society, not only with their white friends, and also to be able to understand how things got to where they are. That's a critical thing that you really need to have if you're going to be a real citizen. You can't.
Well, that's the other thing about it is that. Well, that's the other thing about it is that it also to acknowledge it in the way that acknowledges reality would also kind of acknowledge that the problems that stem from it are systemic,
and that they're still here.
Exactly. No, the fact that we're still dealing with it.
Yeah.
The fact that it's like this bullshit thing. It's like did you see the interview that Ezra Klein did with Pope of the Jews, Ben Shapiro? Did you see that interview where he was?
I did not. I try to avoid everything about Ben Shapiro.
At this point, I'm ready to start avoiding everything with Ezra Klein also. But he's saying about how Obama radical shit with Obama radicalized them, and I'm just thinking it reminds me of this bullshit thing that we see nowadays with the Roberts decision with the Supreme Court about the Voting Rights Act, basically saying, hey, we got a black president, what more do you want?
Yeah, it's solved.
Yeah. And that's what Ben Shapiro would say. He's like, we expected Obama to be this person that way. It's like, what the fuck are you even talking about? It's all related because even once the slaves were freed, we passed laws that further restricted black people in terms of what they could do. We had redlining, we've had all this shit, we've had the white flight away from the cities into the suburbs. And then of course you had Jim Crow. It's all linked.
It's all linked, and to bring in the Supreme Court, right? We have to remember also all the decisions over the years that the Supreme Court has done that have either continued the white supremacist attitudes of this country, whether it's Dred Scott or whether it's even the dismantling the Voting Rights Act, or whether it's even this the doctrine about whether it's intentional harm versus it turned out that way. And for so long,
even this shit that we just saw, what was it, last week with the decision about about racial profiling?
Yeah. So, for years, the courts basically had found that even if it wasn't intended to be racist, if the result was racist, then therefore the action is racist and it violates civil rights law or it violates 14th Amendment. And the Supreme Court has upended that and said, look, unless you can find somebody directly saying we're going to do this on account of race, you can't say, even if the outcomes are decidedly racist, you can't say that. And all of this is in service of maintaining white supremacy, the destruction of history, the abandoning of education, the attack on education. All of this is in service of exactly one thing. And I just, for the life of me, cannot understand why that is the thing that they want so badly if it isn't just their only motivation for existing.
Because I really believe that they do not want to fully admit majority of white folks.
That's what I'm saying. I agree.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like when it was one thing when it was being done in Florida, and again, you have a governor there he seems educated but really isn't, and I just feels like, okay, you're now have a president who wants to try to do the rest of the nation, and it's like, why? It's like, what are you trying to improve here? You know, because honestly, this is like, you forget the fact is like there's a high percentage of non-whites who will teach you how history is. You know,
well, and Florida, good thing you brought that up, right? If you don't really understand the depth of how terrible something is, whether it's slavery or something else, people get cavalier with the term. Mm-hmm. And here you have the Surgeon General of the state of Florida comparing vaccine mandates to slavery. And he's black. And that is only really doable. The only reason anybody would ever say something so ridiculous and hurtful is if they basically have numbed themselves to it. It was a while ago. It's not real bad. It wasn't that bad, right? The reason you can think that, the reason you might even be able to safely hold that in your mind, that it wasn't that bad, is because you don't know how bad it is. And if what you want to do is be able to continue to perpetuate it, the only reason you eliminate this knowledge is because you want to keep doing it to somebody. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. And I do want to highlight that this really does get to this other thing that we were talking about, where it doesn't make sense to tie Republicans in the current state or the Trump movement to a linear set of logic, because they say things and contradict themselves all the time. They want free speech and they want to cancel things. They say they want a strong economy. They attack the economy. They say they want U.S. manufacturing. They kill manufacturing jobs. They do all these things. And you're like, well, what do they really mean? What do they really want? Mm-hmm. What they really want is a white supremacist, Christo-fascist ethno-state.
They don't want the United States to be questioned. They don't want the concept of the United States to be questioned, and the idea of even acknowledging the pain of the past is a way of saying that America is imperfect.
Well, and these people, their vision of America, because they want to see an America where the three of us having this conversation aren't included at all.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if we are included, we're included as property or as collateral or whatever, subservient, second class, pick your word.
I mean, look at what they're doing. They're doing the same thing with the trans people. They took the word transgender out of the Stonewall Monument.
Right. They want that not to happen. They don't. It's not
if it's not there, it'll just go away.
Yeah. Well, and if it's not there long enough, it will go away. And that is kind of where they're going with this, of trying to destroy, and so this is, like I said, this is a playbook. One of the key things that fascists do is they burn the fucking books. And I don't see a lick of difference between burning the fucking books and censoring the plaques at Stonewall or Harper's Ferry. That is the problem. So we are down the just add it, if you've got your little checklist, right? Here you're sitting there and you're like, all right, let's see, which fascist thing have we done now? Okay, yep, burn the books. That's good. We've attacked
media.
gays. We've gone after the immigrants. Let's see, we're attacking the media. Anybody that questions us gets deported to Uganda. Yep, got that. I mean, it's like literally the list. And you do have to wonder, well, how far down do we go before we're out of the list? You know, where are we at? How many more check boxes do we have to go before we're just in the fascist place?
Take out the homeless, kill off the old elderly people,
You
just
have to give the
and all that
homeless
stuff.
lethal injections. That's perfectly okay to say. You just can't say anything about Charlie Kirk.
Right.
It's okay to cheer about George Floyd being murdered or Trayvon Martin or any of those people.
Oh, but it's all about debate. It's all about healthy debate on campuses and bring open and honest debate.
I do want to...
Not saying vile shit that's on the same level as Ann Coulter.
Right. I do want to say that we are at a very precarious point. And there are several groups of people who are, I would say, within the range of the marginalized historically in this country who have decided they are not going to take any more of this shit. And the get along thing is over. And it's only going to be a matter of time. And whether one side or the other is the first one to light the fuse, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But the reaction is going to be there, and it's just going to happen. People will only take being picked on and attacked and marginalized, crushed, oppressed, pick your word, for so long before they just go, fuck this shit. And the most dangerous person in the world is somebody who doesn't have anything left to lose. So if you keep taking things away from people, they will get to that point. And, you know,
if you keep dehumanizing them and treating them like animals, they're going to act like fucking animals.
Yeah. And if you take away everything to the point where they don't have anything left to hold dear or protect, man, I mean, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked when it happens. I'm just saying, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like I had the same thought when the United Healthcare CEO got shot in the back. I said to myself, I'm surprised it took this long for something like this to happen.
Yeah. I mean, you do have to wonder about that. Speaking of which, like, let's jump over to Nepal. We're the only show that's apparently covering this or thinking about this. But
or knows that Nepal is a country.
Yeah, right. Well, we have a globe. So we had last week, we remembered to get this globe and to show everybody that, I still don't know how to do this. Okay, that's Nepal, the little green one there.
It's where Mount Everest is.
Yeah. And a bunch of other tall mountains. So Nepal has been in the midst of a crisis because, again, you have poor folks who have nothing left to lose, who feel backed into a corner and then shit on by the elites in their country who are treating them as second-class citizens. And they were like, we've had enough of this shit. And they burned the fucking parliament to the ground.
Don't fuck with Facebook.
Yeah. And, right. Don't post your Louis Vuitton Christmas trees on Facebook and tell everybody that you're great or something. So, you know, the question was like, okay, who's leading this thing? Well, they didn't really have like a leader. The military came in and sort of put things like, all right, guys, cool it. Pick y'all somebody to run this shit. Well, they finally found somebody to run this shit. Her name is Shushila Karti, and she was a former Chief Justice of their Supreme Court. Chief Justice, maybe, or just one of the justices of their Supreme Court. But she has been sworn in as the new prime minister for the time being. She's 73 years old. She was hastily sworn in under heavy security as the country of almost 30 million people. Is that 30 or 80? No, 30 million people remains under strict military curfew following the deadly protest. That's 30 million people. That's not a small place. There's a U.S. ambassador there, if you can believe it or not. His name is Dean Thompson. I don't think that anybody Trump sends anywhere right now is who you want leading in any of these kind of crises. But, you know, this was a youth movement. They've found a very old person to be their caretaker government. That's very similar to what we saw in Bangladesh, where they had another youth movement. They found a very old economist, Nobel laureate, to run the show there. The youth vote here in America seems to be very enamored with Bernie Sanders. I don't know exactly what to make of all of that, but it is sort of a strange thing. And yeah, she was the Chief Justice there. She was sworn in as Chief Justice in Nepal in 2016, and she's got a tough road to hoe, I gotta say, dealing with a country of 30 million people that's in chaos.
But
India,
you did skip over an important point there. She has called the country will be holding elections in March.
yes. So, and the idea here was that they wanted to have elections, that they were only going to appoint a caretaker government. But that is also true of what happened in Bangladesh, and they still did not get around to having the elections yet. Not because the government is trying to hold on to power, but because they are having trouble organizing such a thing. Because that's a hard thing to do in a country with that many people. So, and we're talking about a place where people are very, very poor, where things are very, very remote. There isn't good communication or transportation or an easy way to sort of organize them.
It's like Alaska on steroids.
Yeah. And the folks in India there, they've made some comments and saying, we'll help out. We're also a democracy. We're close by. We share a lot in common. I'm not sure how much I trust Modi to do anything democratic these days, but tough part of the world. People should be paying attention. Americans don't pay attention. That's a problem. But that would require education, and that's what we don't do in this country.
It's interesting between what's going on here and what has happened recently with South Korea and with Brazil. It's interesting that we're seeing these things about how to handle it about how to handle the aftermath of when people do terrible things. And I feel like it's something that the United States, we shouldn't be just paying attention to it because, we are a part of the world. As Fry on Futurama said, we're a part of the world. Wow, things have changed in 1,000 years.
Right.
But like South Korea has impeached several presidents. Several have gone to jail. Bolsonaro has been convicted by the High Court in Brazil for staging a coup.
Yep.
In images that were very similar to January 6th. I think we need to be paying attention on how to handle these things once, if we get beyond the really bad stuff.
And also paying attention to where holding power to account is not real. Like Pakistan, where as a matter of course, when you gain power, the first order of business is prosecuting your predecessor. That's not a real way to hold corruption to account or to deal with extrajudicial activities, whether it's from your predecessor or otherwise. We also want to, cautionary tales of like dealing with coups and the backsliding that can happen if you're looking at Burma or if you're looking at Hungary, which we'll bring up again, or if you're looking at any of those places where, there's been a government, it gets knocked over. The new guys are just as bad as the old guys. You got to watch it. I think Brazil's a good one to be paying attention to. I think it's possible we learn something important here in Nepal. I think it's possible we learn something important in Bangladesh about real democracy, little small d democracy. South Korea, they're still kind of going through that they've arrested, impeached, tried, appealed, maybe convicted, maybe not convicted. They couldn't get the votes through. There was people eating resolutions from the desks of stuff. I mean, there's weird things with all of that. But yeah, we are a part of the world, but also we should be paying attention for lessons learned. Speaking of people who do not seem to learn lessons, let's look at Kash Patel. Now, there are a lot of things I dislike about Kash Patel, but there is something in particular about Kash Patel that I found out this week and makes me hate him more. I don't know if this image can show it, but this tie, this is a red and white tie. It's not quite that red and white. See there in the middle?
LFC, is that for the London Philly Fannies Club or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. He's a fucking Liverpool fan. And there's a lot of things I don't like in the world. Republicans are high on that list, but much higher on that list is Ohio and Liverpool and Dallas. Fuck them. And the Penguins. But like, oh my God, I didn't need a reason to hate Kash Patel. I already hated Kash Patel. Now I got a legit reason, and the derby is Saturday. So if we win, if Everton wins and Liverpool loses, I want to rub it in his stupid face. The only problem is I can't tell which eye to focus on. So we will have to see.
I was in England 2 years ago, and one of the things that I did while I was in London was I took my mom to a Premier League game, and it was West Ham versus Liverpool. And wow, and yeah, even though there was just one section for all the Liverpool fans because it was at West Ham Stadium,
right? Sure.
It was God, they were obnoxious.
Yeah, they're the worst kind of people.
Yeah, they just would not shut up with it was like an opera. They just kept going with the musical chants and everything. They didn't take a moment to rest.
Well, and they have the worst song. They have the You Never Walk Alone dumb song, which I think is from a musical, but they sing it because Gary and the Pacemakers did a version of it, and they're from Liverpool. But
I don't know. West Ham has I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles, so
look, everybody's got songs. We do not have songs. Everton does not have. We
should have songs. We should have songs because there's nothing like being in a stadium with like 60,000 people singing I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles or something like that. That's a magical experience.
Okay, well, so like the Washington football team, we have a song.
Well,
right?
You got hailed to the team, yeah.
Okay, so like when you score a touchdown, when things were good back in the old days, when we would score a touchdown and the band, an actual band, would play Hail to the insert your word here, and the whole stadium sings along and everybody knows the words and the RFK was bouncing like that's a feeling. It feels pretty freaking good, right? When 121,000 people in the big house are singing Mr. Brightside, like that feels pretty good, Yeah. But just fucking Liverpool. And also it turns out after doing a bit of looking into this that most of the people in Liverpool's history, big lefties, not fans of the right wing. Specifically, former coach who just left, Jurgen Klopp, who's German, famously said that there's one thing that he would never do. He would never vote for the right. And, so that's pretty good. There's also this weird thing about like you're not supposed to wear sports ties to like congressional testimony, you weirdo. Even I wouldn't do that. I did wear my Michigan blazer today, but it was on the inside of the blazer, so like you'd have to, and it just, it doesn't fit. Cash Patel's a loser and a dummy, and I hope he trips on his tie. I do. I just feel like that would be the best thing that could happen to that guy. So, all right. You want to play a game?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to play a new game. It's sort of like Florida or Nah, but this is a new version of it. This is called Which of These Things Happened in Florida?
Okay.
So I've got two news stories which you can't see, but that I can see. And I'm going to read them to you, and you have to tell me which of the two or both of the two or whatever you think, which of these happened in Florida, and show your work. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. A woman taking her dog for a walk near a creek ended up punching an alligator in the face to rescue the canine from the predator's jaws. Lando Lakes resident Danny White said she and her 4-month-old Shih Tzu Dax, what a name, were walking along a stagnant creek behind her house when the 5-foot gator struck. I turned and looked, and an alligator had him, she told the New York Times. The alligator's front teeth were through the collar of my dog. The alligator started dragging Dax into the water, leading Wright to fight back. I just punched him. Punched and punched, she told the TV station. I punched him in the eye enough that he kind of let go. He unclamped a little, and I pulled off, but his teeth dragged down my arm.
She went all Happy Gilmore on it.
Yeah. Wright was able to flip the alligator onto its back, allowing her and Dax to flee inside the house. She recorded video of the gator lurking behind her home after the attack. The gator was removed from the property by Fish and Wildlife, and she urged other pet owners to be cautious in the areas where gators can easily camouflage. Okay, so that's the first story. Here's the second story. A cloud of smoke from 2 pounds of methamphetamine seized by the FBI and incinerated inside an animal shelter sent its workers to the hospital, according to city officials.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The smoke started to fill the building during a drug burn on Wednesday, apparently because of the negative pressure that sucked it back inside. Assistant City Administrator Kevin Iflin said Friday a fan was supposed to be on hand in such situations to reverse the pressure so smoke would flow out of the building, but he said it wasn't readily available. The incinerator is used primarily to burn carcasses of animals euthanized or collected by the city's animal control division.
Yeah, it's like a crematorium.
Sure, but every couple of months, local law enforcement or FBI agents use it to burn seized narcotics, Iflin said. 14 workers from the nonprofit animal shelter evacuated and went to the hospital. The shelter's 75 dogs and cats were relocated or put up in foster homes.
Those cats and dogs were fucked up.
Yeah, so were the people. The shelter shares space with the animal control division. When smoke started filling parts of the building, they assumed it was from the burning carcasses because the director said she had just never known about the drug burn. So they're in the same building, but she never knew that the cops were using her incinerator to burn drugs.
So the cops are in the same building as the animal shelter?
The animal control folks are in the same building, and I guess they, are friends with the cops and the FBI.
They're just like, hey, you can just drop that. You just drop that shit over there. It's okay.
Yeah, we'll throw it in the incinerator. It'll be fine. The director said she had a very intense headache and a sore throat, and others had dizziness, sweating, and coughing. No kidding. Not a party, she said. The workers found out that it was methamphetamine smoke through a call from a city official while they were in the hospital. Most of the staff spent hours on oxygen and in chambers for treatment. Symptoms have lingered for some workers. They are also closely monitoring 4 litters of kittens that got more heavily exposed because they were in a closed room with lots of the smoke.
Oh, fuck.
The FBI routinely uses outside facilities to conduct controlled drug evidence burns. Agency spokesperson Sandra Barker said, and she referred other questions to city officials. Okay, which of these 2 things happened in Florida?
I'm of several different mindsets here because the first one with the gator sounds like, but I kind of feel like that might be put in there. I feel like I'm taking a test again in high school.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be in there as like a red herring, like to make me think like, okay. But for some reason, I'm thinking that the meth story could very well be New Mexico, even though that sounds like something that would very much happen in Florida. But I'm actually going to go down a third road here. I'm going to guess that they're both Florida.
This is a good guess, but it is incorrect. So the gator, I thought you would think that was a little too on the nose. That was actually in Florida, of course.
That was Florida.
Yeah,
the woman looked very Florida.
She looked pretty Florida. The animal shelter was in Billings, Montana.
Oh, okay. Not that very far.
Well, I mean, it's like the New Mexico of the North.
I guess it's big. I guess they call it Big Sky Country for a reason.
Yeah, it's a state that's mostly square shaped that borders a foreign country, and the people out there are a little suspect. So I feel like New Mexico and Montana are basically the same. And what do you mean there's a New Mexico?
Why not write a musical about the common cat or the king of Siam?
Yeah, right. Oh my God! Also, I don't know if you saw my shirt.
I saw your shirt.
It's my Isotopes. We wore that for curling. Okay, so yes, congratulations. You did not win, which is Florida, but that's okay. Who do you got winning the game against the Raiders this week, Charlie? Are we going to win or not?
I'm keeping my fingers crossed, man. It's really tough. What are the Raiders? Are they 0-2 right now?
They are, but I think that I say we sit Jaden and let Mariota play because it's just Oakland and we should be able to beat them without
Vegas. It's Vegas now.
Whatever. I'm not learning new things.
It's another loser city. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, who cares? I think we can beat them with Marcus Mariota. I think that's probably the safe move. I do not want to see RG3 repeated, so that's my choice there.
Well, I don't think RG3 will be repeated because Daniels knows when to slide.
Well, yeah, but
unlike RG3.
Yeah, but if he's hurt and he wants to be out there competing, that's the problem. So
that is yes.
We need Dan Quinn to do the right thing and sit him. That's what I say. All right, we want to say thank you to Charlie for bringing us some class and culture. It was really nice of you, and hopefully you can come back as soon as everything else gets canceled. Thanks to our radio partners, Voyagers 1 and 2, which incidentally enough, this is the day back in, I think, 1977 when Voyager 1 flipped around and took a picture of the Earth and the Moon in the same frame for the first time in human history. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, thanks to the Voyager probes out there still working. Google, iTunes, all those guys. Thanks to NOTN for keeping us on for another week, maybe. Don't know. Thanks to our home on the interwebs, coplaymedia.com. And thanks, as always, to our family at Beltway Radio for making us sound as smooth as 50 grit sandpaper. All right, where can everybody find you on the socials and get your writing, Charlie?
You can see some of my writings at Gold Derby, and you can follow me on X at Charles Bright.
There you go. And you can find me and the show on the Twitter at ChipChatRR. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat. And you can, of course, find me on Blue Sky with my old Twitter handle at Chef Chip. And hanging out with Aisha Roscoe over there or wherever, she's best friends with the show now. And you can find us every Thursday night here on Beltway Radio and Beyond and on Rip Radio Network. We are back across all the platforms. You love us. We love you. Thank you. This is Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and Beyond.
Namaste.